This build is just all around the best build that you can have in Diablo. You can kill Belial with ease every time. In the Infernal Hordes, you gather anywhere from 800 to 1500 ether, and you can speed farm 79 or 89 of the pit for XP or obols. The highest I've done so far is 100, and I'm still only Paragon level 261. I put the link of the build in the description. Just to be clear, the build is a little old. I made it back when I was about Paragon level 230 or so, I think. So some things have been changed and tweaked. That build is more for leveling until you get all of the good stuff that you need. We'll start with the gear. For the helmet, you're going to want the Harlequin crest, and you're going to want the GA on cooldown reduction. Once you get to masterworking, you want to triple crit the cooldown reduction. Then you want to throw Topaz in your helmet. For the chest piece, you want the Raiment of the Infinite. You're going to want to at least get a GA on Glass Cannon. The affix doesn't really matter that much, but you are going to want to triple crit with masterworking on that Glass Cannon. And for the glyphs, put Ahu Zan. This is going to help for your overpower, because you're going to have a lot of lucky hit. For the gloves, you want the City Bindings. The main thing you want the GA on is the Primordial Binding, and then you want to triple crit that with the Masterwork. It'll get it to 18. And the affix is the next most important part. So if you can get a good GA on the Primordial Binding with a good affix, then the next thing I guess you would look for is the chance for familiars to hit twice. Down to the pants, we're using the Tybalt's Will. Don't be discouraged seeing all this stuff. I literally have 101 hours played on this character. The affix is the main thing that you want to be 20%. After that, you want the GA on all stats or max life, and then you want to triple crit the max life preferably, because that helps with your overpower damage. You become unstoppable when you're using your flame shield and for 5 seconds after, so that's just 20% almost all the time. And then for the glyphs, you want Sem Quex. This is going to help with your overall damage output because you're going to be evading all the time. For boots, this is very important. You want the first thing to be attacks reduce evade cooldown by 1.5 seconds. The reason for this is because this is going to keep your cooldown on your evade all the way down. Because if we come over to here, we can see our evade cooldown on our teleport is 1.7 seconds. From teleporting to attacking, it's going to take around 1 to 3 milliseconds. So you want that to be anywhere from 1.7 to 1.6 down to 1.5. And then for the GAs, you want intelligence and max life. And then for the third one, you want rather movement speed or mana per second if you're having an issue, which even if you're not having an issue just because of the glyph right here, you want to keep your primary resource high, and this will help a lot paired with the Starless Skies. For tempers, you want to temper evade cooldown reduction and lucky hit chance, and ideally you want to double or triple crit the evade cooldown reduction with Masterworks until you hit around 1.7 seconds on that teleport or lower. And then for the affix, you want to put the Orange Herald on it, because this will keep your ultimate almost always up, and your ultimate is good for attack speed and damage. For your two-handed weapon, you're going to want a staff, because you're going to want to put the affix Splintering Energy. This is where almost all of your damage is going to come from. Critical hits with Lightning Spear cause the spear to arc up to 5 other enemies. This damage is increased by 200% multiplicative of your critical strike damage. So this is why we're going to put the emeralds into this. This is why we want a GA on intelligence, max life, and ideally critical strike damage. Another one for this would pretty much be a GA on any of these 3 or any 2 of these 3. And then you're going to want to temper critical strike damage on it as well, and chance for Lightning Spear to deal double damage. Then you're going to want to Masterwork crit 3 times on the double damage Lightning Spear. And again, put emeralds in your two-handed. Next, we'll go to our first ring. We'll save amulet for last because it's the most important and hardest to get. First, you want the Tal Rasha's iridescent loop. You want the GA on cooldown reduction, and then you want to triple crit cooldown reduction. I still haven't gotten it on this just because I just got this quad GA max roll. Again, don't feel discouraged looking at all my loot. I've done a ton of Belial runs. Then you're going to want to put skulls in your jewelry until you get maxed armor, and then if you can take a skull out and replace it with a diamond if you need it, then you can do that as long as your armor is staying at the 1000 armor cap. Then you're going to want the Ring of Starless Skies. The GA that you're going to want on it can be any of these three of critical strike chance, lucky hit chance, and attack speed, but ideally you're going to want critical strike chance because you want your critical strike chance to be about 100%. Right now mine's at 97.4. I still need to re-roll this. I'm trying to hit the crit on lucky hit, critical strike, and attack speed, but ideally you want that critical strike chance GA with a couple masterworks into it until you get 100% critical strike chance. Now for the amulet, this is going to be the hardest piece of gear to find because you cannot really target farm for it. So in a perfect world, if you were to get a perfect amulet, it would have a GA on intelligence, on permafrost, and inner flames. Now since that is nearly impossible to get for anybody right now, you're going to want to start with a GA on intelligence, and then you're going to want permafrost or inner flames on there with that intelligence, or max life or something useful, and then you're going to want to re-roll to get permafrost or inner flames. So mainly you want the GA on intelligence, and then if you get a 2 GA, you're going to want the second GA on permafrost or inner flames. So if you get a double GA on intelligence and one of those, you're literally set. Then you can re-roll the third one to get the last damage multiplier, because that is a huge damage multiplier. And then you're going to want to crit on the permafrost or inner flames if you have it twice, and then once on your intelligence, because that's going to boost your damage a very good amount, because getting too much passive ranks eventually has a drop off the more passive ranks of something that you get. That's why we're trying to get a bunch into glass cannon, a bunch into permafrost, and inner flames, so that we can get all of those pools. So yeah, masterwork crit on whatever passive you have twice, once onto your intelligence. For the tempers, get evade, cooldown reduction, and critical strike damage. And for your aspect, you're going to want to put the aspect of the elements on your amulet, because it gets that 50% bonus. And this is pretty much like your ring. It just gives you stacking bonuses. Also, if you get any extra really good amulets that I mentioned, you can try to sell them in the trade chat or on the Discord or whatever. They're worth a lot of gold. You can literally get gold cap if you have what I'm explaining. We'll do boss powers real quick. So for your main, you're going to want Beast and Ice Sleet. This just does a whole lot of damage all the time. And it freezes, it does cold damage, so it helps with your Elementalist. And you're going to want Beastmaster's Training. This is more of that critical strike damage, because your Lightning Spear and your Familiars count as summons. Then you're going to want Hatred's Embraces Haste for that critical strike chance. This is going to be almost all of your critical strike chance, besides your Starless. Then you're going to want Lilith's Wind of Hate if you're having trouble with bosses, or if you're trying to do the pit. But if you're just doing casual stuff and you're not too worried about doing a lot of damage to big targets, then you can run Cinderat's Flames. Or if you're running with a teammate, they can run Cinderat's Flames and it can boost you. You can get the bonus from Cinderat's Flames while you're running Lilith's Wind of Hate. So if you don't have all the renown, you're going to want to do that to get the extra skill points, because this board and the Paragon board have all the extra skill points from the renown rewards. First off, one into Firebolt, one in Enhanced Firebolt, one into Fireball, one in Enhanced Fireball, and one in Greater Fireball. Then one into Potent Warding, so we can go down to the next board. One in Flame Shield, Enhanced Flame Shield, and Mystical Flame Shield. One into Teleport, Enhanced Teleport, and Shimmering Teleport. Then put 3 into Glass Cannon. Put 1 into Familiar, Enhanced, and Invoked Familiar. 3 in Precision Magic for the lucky hit. 1 into Ice Blades. 1 at Enhanced. 1 at Invoked Ice Blades. 1 at Align the Elements. 1 in Protection. 5 into Lightning Spear. 1 Enhanced. And 1 Roaring Lightning Spear. 3 in Primordial Binding. 1 in Mana Shield. You can also take these 2 out if you want and just throw them all in the Mana Shield. This is just for a barrier if you want that. Go down to Inner Flames, get 3 into that. Go down to Ball Lightning, put 1 into Ball Lightning, 1 in Enhanced Ball Lightning, and 1 into Wizard's Ball Lightning. This is going to help you with your crackling energy, and that'll help with damage. Put 3 into Invigorating Conduit, 3 into Permafrost, 3 into Icy Touch, 3 into Hoarfrost, 3 into Elemental Synergies, 3 into Evocation, 1 into Unstable Currents, 1 into Prime, don't get the last one, put 1 into Conduction, 3 into Convulsions, 3 into Electrocution, and for your key passive, grab Enlightenment. This is going to be a whole lot of damage stacking with your Enlightenment. And for your enchantments, you're going to want to go ahead and grab Teleport, throw that down into your enchantments, because that is going to replace your Evade. And if you can remember, your Teleport cooldown is super, super low now. You can just always teleport. And then the Familiar enchantment is how your Familiars are going to help with damage. Okay, now onto the Paragon board. The glyphs that you're going to need are Destruction, Elementalist, Flame Feeder, Tactician, and Unleash. I'll kind of put it here if you want to pause the video or screenshot or anything. And then for this board, I'm going to have Destruction. For the second board, you're going to want Ceaseless Conduit. You're going to want it turned with the glyph facing the bottom left. And you could pause the video if you'd like. The glyph here is Elementalist. To the left, we're going to want to grab first Searing Heat. And you want the glyph socket to be in the upper right. You can pause the video if you'd like. And the glyph socket is Unleash. Then we'll go back over here and go up. And we're going to grab Enchantment Master. And the glyph socket is going to be in the top right. You can pause the video here if you'd like. In the glyph socket, we're going to have Flame Feeder. Then we'll go up and grab, finally, Elemental Summoner. You can pause here if you'd like. And in the glyph socket, we're going to grab Tactician. Now, the reason why I used to wear the Shroud of False Death instead of the Raiment is pretty much because of the Paragon board. Because these last damage multipliers are huge. 74%, 118%, cooldown reduction, attack speed. And unless you have enough Paragon points, which I literally needed to go down here and put into willpower, because this is grants bonus to all magic nodes, and there's willpower or dexterity if you needed it. So I grabbed 2 willpower and then changed my chest piece after about level 255 Paragon, just so I can hit all of the rare node bonuses. So make sure that you're hitting all those and you're not missing out, because those are a ton of damage. Now all of my gear is almost to the max. It's almost all min-maxed. It's almost all perfect. So this is why I figured I'd make a video now. I got almost all of the gear that you need, excluding the amulet. Of course, you can get better stuff like a GA on cooldown reduction and max life on the Harlequin crest, or on the armor, and then you can take out the skulls and replace with gems or anything. Also on the Paragon board, if you're having trouble staying alive, you can put more points into the resistance to all elements. There's a few of them that you can get. There's more armor that you can get on the Paragon board. So make sure that you're utilizing that if you're having trouble staying alive. Now the potions that you're going to want to be drinking are Elixir of Advantage for the attack speed and that lucky hit. Because if we look here, the attack speed is only 50%, but our ultimate does increase it a lot. And if we go down to our lucky hit, it's about 70%. But if we drink a potion, our lucky hit is now 85%, and our attack speed is now 64%. So make sure that you're using the Elixir of Advantage. And for the incense, I grab the max life one just for more max life. Grab the intelligence one because we utilize intelligence mostly on this build, and that'll also help with your max resist. and then grab Soothing just for the resistance to all elements, and that extra armor helps if you need that for the cap. And finally, we get to the Mercenaries. You can switch out your main Mercenary with Subo if you'd like his UAV on the minimap, so that you can see enemies on the minimap if you're doing Hell Tides or if you're doing dungeons or anything like that. If you're doing pits or you're doing bosses, you're trying to push and level up, use Rahir, because in here he slows enemies and that'll help crowd control, as well as he taunts enemies, which helps you with your damage reduction, and then you deal increased damage to taunted enemies. For your secondary mercenary, you're going to want Audkin. You're going to want the Flame Surge because this is going to help with all of your elemental damage and keeping all of your bonuses up. And you're going to want to put it on Lightning Spear just because you're always hitting Lightning Spear. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, drop a like. If you have any questions, please comment them down below and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Now if you want to stick around, I'll show you guys just why this is my favorite Diablo build I've ever made.